If everybody would have a seat, we're going to start in 30 seconds. Have a seat, please. Find a chair. Have a chair, everyone. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. If you're not sitting down, have a seat. I'm Pastor Belinda Turner. My husband is Daniel Turner, Pastor Daniel Turner. He's in the back there. We're the pastors of this church, and we just want to welcome all of you here and let you know that there's waters out on a table there. There's restrooms at the far end of that room where you came in. And so you can find it yourself. They're marked well on the door. I'm just going to open in prayer right now. If you would like to all stand, please. I'm going to read this scripture first out of Daniel 2. It says, "Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his, and he changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells in him." So, Father, we thank you for your love for us. We thank you that you're never far away. And we thank you for bringing President Trump safely into the seat of presidency. And we just ask your protection over him and with your divine protection, Lord. And be with all those who are here seeking positions also, Lord, that you would guide and direct us all as a body, that we would choose with your wisdom, that we would have preference for one another, Father, that we would be unified in what we do together as a party. And Lord, we ask for your guidance for those people that will ultimately be chosen, Lord, that you would direct their steps and everything that they do and say. In Jesus' name, we give you this night.
Amen.
All right, well, you may be seated. Good evening. I am State Rep.
We were going to say the pledge. Is that okay?
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yes, of course.
There's a flag right there by Mr. Trump. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's try that again. Well, thank you. Welcome to, I don't know what we're calling this, the town hall, because it's not really a debate. I am State Representative Jaime Greene. I represent, thank you. Thank you. So I represent the 65th House District, and I think why they asked me to do this is because I represent Lapeer, St. Clair, and Macomb County, which 3 of those counties are the host. We also have Sanilac, Huron, I think I'm missing one, and Tuscola hosting this event as well. And so we thank you for the county party chairs and the organizers, especially Jacob Leroy and Lori Skibo, who put this together. So before we get fully started, I would like to introduce some folks who are running for the other chair positions for the state party. And I ask you to stand, wave, and then you may sit down afterwards. And if we can hold the applause, I'm a really efficient person, and so I'd like to just keep this at a steady pace and a steady tone to keep it moving. So we'll start off with the grassroots. Vice chairs, if Chris Long is here, would he please stand up? Thank you, sir. Now, Marion Sheridan, is she here? If she could, okay. Great, Marion. So those are your grassroots vice chairs. I hope you had a chance to talk to them earlier. For administrative vice chairs, we have Dawn Beatty. No, she's here, okay. And Cheryl Constantino. It's okay. She's okay, but she says hello. And then Sveg Vartanian. And I know he's not here. So, okay, thank you. And then next, our coalition's vice chair, we have Susan Kokinda. Ron? I have Susan here. Okay. Oh, you're representing her. Okay, thank you, because we're the party that only has two genders. So, Hassan Animi. Thank you, Hassan. Okay, so those are your coalition's vice chairs. Outreach, unopposed so far, is Rola Maki. Great, everybody knows Rola already. Ethnic vice chairs is Mike Faraj. He's not here. Okay, then our youth chairs, which I love the youth chairs. They're always my favorite position because it's so exciting to get the youth involved. But we have James Asher, Alex Beaton. Great, Alex. Miguel Pilar, Miguel, and then Kirsch Marathrani. He's away at county tonight. Fantastic. So those are, we also then, because this is all held in the 9th district right now, we have our district chair candidates, which we have Joe Biondo and his vice chair, Julie Pollock. Is Julie here? Not yet, okay. Luke Deming. And then Lori Skibo and Braden Jacobozzi. If you say it proud, you know what you're saying. All right, so thank you to all the candidates for hiking over, some of you, to this side of the state, and welcome. All right, so this was a group effort. So the questions that I'm going to ask, we're going to have this in two formats. I'm going to ask questions first of each candidate, and then I have the candidates that you guys also had the open questions. I have moderator discretion to peel them out. And you know what, I just wanted to make a note because some of the questions I did take out, and I don't want you to all get offended or anything by me, but one thing I have learned is the Democrats are really good at weaponization. So much so that the House has formed a subcommittee called the weaponization of government. And so I would never want that, well, no, it's true, because you all know that. We saw that through COVID. But I would never want the Democrats, because we know we have somebody recording here, somebody recording back, and everybody is recording. I never want the Democrats to weaponize things that we do in our own house. And so I also want to honor and respect the three candidates that are up here. It's a pretty big deal for all three of them to step out in that leap of faith and to run our state party. That takes a lot of time, talents, and treasures. And so I am always cautious to protect the integrity of the party and to protect the integrity of the candidates as a moderator, and to be fair. Thank you. All right, so I know this may seem like a long time, and hopefully it'll be short, but each question, except for the opener and closer, will have 1 minute. Hopefully the buzzer won't go off, but if it does, you have to stop, just so you guys are aware of the rules. You will have 2 minutes on your opening statement, 2 minutes on your closing statement, 1 minute for each of my questions, and then 1 minute for the basket of questions. If you refer to someone else, this is another little moderator discretion, in your statement, the candidate in question has 30 seconds to do a rebuttal, and then the conversation is over. So my recommendation is just don't talk about anybody else because you won't have a chance to respond. I will randomly draw the order. So I have a little basket that the pastor of the church ripped up for me. Then we will go, so whoever goes first, the second person in that will go first the next question, and we'll keep rotating. I will write it down because we may forget the order, but you guys will probably remember. All right, so I think that's it. We're getting ready to begin. Who's going first? The first will be Senator Jim Runestad. He will go first. Next will be Joe Cella. And then the third will be Meshawn Maddock. And so I've just said their candidates' names. They will introduce themselves. We will start off with that. And I'm going to sit. And then I have my 2-minute buzzard. So, Jim, whenever you are ready, I will start.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay. I want to thank Jaime Greene and Lori Skibo and the 9th District for putting this event on. A little bit of background on me. I was raised on a farm. I went to school to be a teacher like my parents, and then ended up not going into that and going into financial services. I married my wife, Kathy, 27 years ago. We have 5 kids, 15 grandkids. We were foster care parents. And then I decided to run for office, and I ran for office as a county commissioner. The very first thing I did was put in a resolution to broom out all of the illegals, thousands and thousands at Oakland County getting a taxpayer paycheck. Took 4 months to beat the commissioners into submission, to pass unanimously eventually, and then I went to the House, where the people doubted I was going to be able to keep that same record. When I went there, I had the most conservative, either the top or among the top most conservative records. Then I went to the Senate, and again, for 6 years, the most or among the most conservative record. So what I tell people I'm going to do is what I'm going to do. And now I'm in the minority in my last term. We were just looking at the number of hours. It's like 7 hours in the whole month of January that we're actually in session. So for me, I cannot get anything done with the Democrats there, but all the stuff I'm learning in office, I will be messaging all across the state of Michigan in a tsunami like they have never seen before. Democrats hate my guts. They can't stand me. I do 60% of all the floor speeches attacking them. Right now, we're going to have all the bills negotiated between Republicans and Democrats, thank God, because we took the House and it's controlled by the Republicans. But this is going to give me the time, the ability to take everything that I have done through all these years, conservative messaging, more TV, radio, and print combined than almost the entire Senate combined, but getting it out across the state of Michigan so that everybody here and across the state of Michigan will know what the Democrats are up to and how we need to fight them. We also need to unify the party. I've never dropped a single bomb in any of the factions of the party, never attacked a donor, or, and so I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Representative Greene. Thank you for moderating, and Lori, thank you for your leadership, and all of you here, delegates. And it's a joy to be with you. I'm a native-born son of Michigan. I grew up in the neighboring town of Richmond, where my mom still is. Go Richmond! And the greatest of memories there. I've been married to my beloved and beautiful wife, Kristen, for 20 years. We have 7 children, 4 boys and 3 girls, 19 down to 5. Our eldest is at Hillsdale College. Our next eldest will be joining her in the fall. The arc of my professional life has been across the private sector, the public sector, and the nonprofit sector. In all that I've done, whether it's serving as a precinct delegate beginning in 1988 until roughly I was married in the early 2000s, managing campaigns on the local, state, federal level, senior leadership positions, 3 presidential campaigns. I've been a servant, I've been a leader, I've been a fighter, and a winner. And my track record speaks for itself. Most recently, I had the honor to represent our country after President Trump asked me to serve as United States Ambassador to Fiji and 4 other South Pacific Island nations. And it was the greatest job I ever had, the highest honor to fly our flag and our principles. We now stand before us the 2026 midterm, which is a beautiful opportunity to use President Trump's win in 2024 to seize these wins that we stand to get from the U.S. Senate race, the gubernatorial race, the Attorney General's race, Secretary of State, state legislature, 3 very competitive House races, and into the state legislature where we have great opportunities. I have the judgment, the character, the temperament, and the experience to serve you as the delegates as your next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. I have raised money, I have led organizations, and have won. And I will do so again if I have the honor of your vote to serve as chairman.
Hey everybody, my name is Meshawn Maddock, and I have 3 reasons why I believe I am in the best position at this time to serve as your chairman for this cycle. The first is my political and business experience. The second is my social media and aggressive stance taking on Democrats every single day. And the third is Donald Trump. I've been a small business owner my entire life. I've been involved in politics for most of my adult life. I've served as a precinct delegate for almost 20 years consistently. I've also been a congressional district chair. I've sat on state committee. I've served as a national elector and a national delegate for Donald Trump. I served on the Donald Trump campaign as a statewide and county co-chair in 2016. In 2020, I served on the National Advisory Board of Women for Trump. And this past cycle in 2024, I was a volunteer and then was brought on staff the last 2.5 months to help with events and surrogates. I've been fighting for Donald Trump nonstop for 10 years. We are very lucky to own a small business that runs itself, and it's enabled me to do nothing but work full-time for Donald Trump and Michigan Republicans, which I will do no matter what. Whether I am your next state party chair or not, I will never stop fighting for Michigan Republicans. And the last is Donald Trump. I still, to this day, have a very close personal relationship with not just Donald Trump, but with his team. And I think that best serves the next chairman to be in a position to have that open dialogue and, more importantly, the trust. I have the trust of Donald Trump's team. I look forward to being your next state party chairman and winning everything back in 2026.
All right. Thank you. So the next set of questions that I will be asking were put together by a group of people and with a little bit of my vetting, I guess, is how I can put it. So the first one, and Joe, you will go first. We all, whoops, I got to stop my own. Here we go. I'm done. We all have laundry hanging out there. So if you had one thing about you that you could clear the air on, one thing that you could clear the air on, what would that be?
A very timely and important question. We live in charged times in our politics, and even before I announced my candidacy as chairman, I have been besieged by a tsunami of fake news from one of my opponents on this stage, and it is disgraceful. It is inward fire at a time when we need to train outward fire towards the Democrats and beat them. I have fidelity to President Trump since 2016. He chose me to serve a leadership campaign position. I was with him in the war room on election night in 2016, and that night was told I would be selected to serve as United States ambassador, and that I did with distinction, and it was honored to do so. I've maintained communications with his inner sanctum since then and was a close advisor to the senior leadership team of the campaign throughout this past year. And very good friends there, and will remain so. Thank you.
Do you want me to repeat the question? Meshawn, you're next. It is, we all have laundry hanging out there. If you had one thing about you that you could clear the air on, what would it be?
I think I would probably address, just like Ambassador Cella, the attacks that I've had on myself. I've never visited the Virgin Islands in my entire life. I have not talked with a consultant who ran the party under Ron Weiser maybe more than twice at a Christmas party and once when I saw him at convention in the last 2 years. When I am your next state party chairman, there will not be a general consultant running our party. Just like this last cycle, a lot was revealed yesterday, Saturday, when the finances had to be revealed in the party. And what it revealed, I think, was very surprising to a lot of people. It was very good for a lot of people that felt misunderstood. But one of the things that Chairman Hoekstra did was he spread the money around. John Yob received $105,000 for consulting, not $10 million. Warren Carpenter received $105,000 for consulting, and many other consultants received around $100,000. I plan on letting the Budget Committee make all of the decisions on all of the vendors. I don't even need to be a part of it. They can make the best decisions on who they trust and who they think will do the best job.
So, Joe, since she referenced your name, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Well, I I will say that throughout the 2024 campaign, I advised President Trump's pollster, his speechwriter, and a couple of the strategists on elements of the campaign, mostly involving the China fight that I led against Governor Whitmer's Chinese battery plants, and some Catholic issues, including that ridiculous woke Dorito stunt that she pulled with that podcaster. And I took no money for it. And I would say that at a time when precious resources were needed in the most competitive races, all that I did, all that I've done in the 2024 cycle, and certainly in the fight against
And your time
battery
is up.
plants, it was for no pay. Thank you.
I would say the things that I've heard out there that are simply not true is that I'm in the Senate, going to run for re-election. Constitutionally, I can never run for the job again. That it's consuming all your time when, in fact, it's about, like I said, about 7 hours in the whole month of January for this job in the Senate. I will be spending so much time out there making a difference and doing things that better than they have ever done before. Lastly, in regard to John Yabb, I feel like I am running against him. He is the consultant that is in Virgin Islands, and yes, he got a consulting fee of maybe $100,000, but he got mountains of money, millions to his companies, these LLCs that you can't even find except a post office box. All this sole sourcing would end under me. There'd be complete transparency. Saying that you're going to give it all to the budget committee, you appoint the budget committee. And if you step away and don't pay any attention to that, you'll have more of this problem. So I will be keeping an eye on things and making sure we have transparency. Thank you.
All right, so the next question, which, where am I at? Jim, you will go first. Everyone loves President Trump for his strong leadership. What quality do you possess that gravitates people towards you? Jim, you are first. Yep. Everyone loves President Trump for his strong leadership. What quality do you possess that gravitates people towards you?
Well, when I ran for the county commission and I was going around and seeing all of these jobs that were taken by illegal aliens, and I was going, this was back in 2008, we were in the Great Recession. Our unofficial rate was 25% of our people in Oakland County were out of work. I said I was going to stop that, and I had to fight. There was only 2 of us in the commission out of 25 who supported getting rid of these illegals having thousands of jobs. I had to fight just like Donald Trump to turn that around and get these people to vote the right way. When I went into the legislature, I got smashed over and over again because I wasn't going to vote for that big tax increase on the roads. I was one of 6 who wouldn't do it. And they took you back in the woodshed and beat and beat and beat. I wasn't going to do it. I'm a fighter just like Donald Trump. When I went into the Senate, I was fighting the leadership on a bunch of garbage. They wanted that if any of you saw the stuff that Mike Shirkey wanted us to have to vote for, you would be sickened. And I said, I'm not voting for this stuff. I told people on the doors, I'm not going to do this. I'm not doing it here in Lansing for you and for money interests. That's what Donald Trump shows us how to do, and it's fighting, and that's what I will continue to do as the state party chair. Thank you.
Joe, you're next. Everyone loves, this is actually harder than you think to manage. My brain just is going. Okay, everyone loves Donald Trump for his strong leadership. What quality do you possess that gravitates people towards you?
I would say that I am a bridge builder and not a bridge burner. That is what I've done all of my life. I love doing it, I succeed at it, and I've had great impact in all that I've done, whether it's serving as an ambassador, as a businessman for 15 years. That is what I've done. I've been able to transcend tumult and chaos and division, drama, and that uniquely equips me for the terrain we're on. We find ourselves in. Our polity has had this in the past, and should I have the honor of serving as your next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party, I would abide by President Reagan's maxim of my 80% ally is not my 20% enemy, but I can fight with the best of them. I fought in the front lines in very high visible, high stakes, highly consequential battles, and that I would continue to do. I know how to put the wood to the Democrats, and I've done it, and I've been doing it to this day, and will continue to do it. Thank you very much.
Go back to my church. I belong to Cornerstone Highland Church. My husband and I have been members there for over 20 years. We raised our kids in that church, and my pastor held a series, and it was about your gifting, your spiritual gifting. It was one of my favorite conventions, and I was told that my gifting is being an encourager, and I feel like that does fit with me. You could call it a cheerleader. As an encourager, I am constantly encouraging people not to quit. It's the most important thing, and it's been something that I have valued and has helped me in politics. I have been on losing side of political campaigns and movements. I know exactly what it feels like to have entire slates looked at by a credentials committee of your chairman and have all of you set aside and told, no, we don't recognize you and you are not going to state convention. But we never quit, and I encouraged 111 people at that time not to quit. Not only do we not quit, but I encourage people, if you have something you want, you need to regroup to win.
Thank you. All right. So the next question, Joe, you will go first, so I'm going to prime your brain first. Say your name. Given the growing concerns over election integrity, if elected to the position of state party chair, what mechanisms would you employ to ensure that our elections run smoothly, securely, and maintain public confidence from a party perspective in the election results?
A great and timely question in that House Majority Leader Brian Posthumus just introduced a bill that would be a constitutional amendment requiring identification, a constitutional amendment requiring identification in order to vote. So I think I'm a local control advocate. I think the states, through our system of federalism, do it and do it best. I think that's imperative. I think some things coming forth from President Trump, I think, will augment that involve watermarks and paper ballots and certain timeframes. That will roll out. And I think we need to stand behind him and for him and with him on that. And I think we look at the success that he had through ballot integrity. They were not going to steal things. The integrity of the process, I think, through a swarming effect of lawyers and volunteers worked. Were there imperfections? Yes. But I think we just look at the winning playbook that President Trump brought us for ballot integrity and repeat that again. And I would do the same in 2026 and beyond.
And Meshawn. I don't know if this matters. Oh, yeah, that does matter. You guys are going to have to share.
I will continue to do what I've already been doing. Election integrity has been a passion of mine, unfortunately, since our election in 2020. Three things that I think set me apart. First of all, I already work very closely with your grassroots vice chair, Marion Sheridan. Marion has done an unbelievable job with our organization and outside organization. We recruited thousands of people to oversee the ballot count and also to become election workers. I already have an unbelievable relationship with election integrity leaders like Morgan, who's right here in the room. We won in 2024 because of the efforts of people like Morgan and our incredible team already. We already have an incredible election integrity team on board. That and Matt DePerno will be filing on my day one under my chairmanship an election lawsuit against Jocelyn Benson, forcing her to clean up our QVF files.
Thank you. All right, and Jim.
The election integrity issue is something that I have been involved with right from the start. After the election back in 2020, there was 11 of us senators sent a letter to Mike Pence and to Congress to hold up certification until there were a number of things investigated. Obviously, they did not do that. Jonathan Lindsay and Patrice Johnson and a bunch of the rest of us conservative legislators filed a lawsuit that said the time, place, and manner of elections needs to be done by the legislature, and thus the constitutional amendments that were passed here were not compliant. They said, of course, what they always say is you don't have standing. I brought together a whole group of legislators and speakers to talk about election integrity. I've been working with, like I said, Patrice Johnson and many other people working on election integrity on an ongoing basis. I gave a speech on the floor of the Senate about election integrity. It got 14 million views. There's never been one higher in the legislature ever. This is something I've been doing endlessly. Thank you.
So I dug into the questions in the basket, and I'm going to do a follow-up since it was election related, and we'll go in the same order for this one. Since election integrity is such an important okay, how about this? Will you work with the former RNC MRP team to build on our 2024 successes?
Yeah, I think that, not that it was flawless, but I think some foundations were laid and pilings set to repeat that in 2026. I think even before that, we'll have a special election, as some of you may know, in the 35th State Senate District in Midland Bay City, Saginaw. And I think that we, again, need to press through whether it's legal means or legislative means, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson to clarify our QVF. She is an aspirational gubernatorial candidate. We need to put the wood to her, expose her track record, expose her woke track record, and hold her to account. She was dragging her feet in the Chinese battery plant issue as well, so there's no shortage of things to really put the heat to her when it comes to ballot integrity, but certainly important to work with the team and build on it for 20.
Thank you.
I will absolutely, I just said it in my last minute, I'm already begging the election integrity team that we have to stay in Michigan and not abandon us. We will duplicate their efforts. Listen, we are not going to protect our elections by signing resolutions, signing letters, and getting views on social media. The only way we're going to do it is if we clean up our QVF files and if we train thousands of workers. One of the things that Marion Sheridan discovered was that they were hiring workers in Detroit that were Democrats and putting them on as Republicans. And we were out employed 5-1. That's how we're going to win elections, with work, with action, not with letters, not with platitudes, and not with talking about it, but with actually working.
Thank you.
Certainly, I would work with the federal team of lawyers that we have with the administration. I was able to work with them on House Bill 603. I don't know if you followed that, but the Secretary of State said she was going to violate the law. We worked to get a suit ready to file that stopped her from doing that. However, one of the things that's absolutely imperative, we lost 2 Supreme Court nominations this time because nobody knew who they were. If we don't retake the Supreme Court, it doesn't matter what we pass through. They will just rule everything as legal that the Democrats do. So we got 2 more seats coming up. We've got to make sure that we are messaging out to every single Republican who they are, judges all the way down to the bottom, to the court, circuit court and district court. If we don't start getting on control of the judiciary, we're going to have a major problem going forward, and that's something I will fix. Thank you.
All right, we're going to pivot next to budget, fundraising, and money questions. So the next one is, and Meshawn, you will go first. There are people that believe the MIGOP spent too much money on political consultant services in the last cycle. Do you agree or disagree?
I mean,
Did that one die now too?
whether we like it or not, consultants are a huge part of our party. They do text messaging, they do mailers, they do design. You can't run the party without service people like that. There's a miscommunication too. We all call them consultants. The truth is a ton of them are vendors. Consultants are people who give you their advice. Vendors are people we hire to actually do the work. I think this last cycle was an excellent cycle of the Budget Committee having really good decisions on who they were going to use as vendors. I would absolutely depend on my Budget Committee. I would have absolute oversight over my Budget Committee, but I am not going to put my finger on the scale for any vendor. If they want to hire Rocky, if they want to hire Warren Carpenter, if they want to hire Stu Sandler, John Yob, that's up to our Budget Committee. But all I know is I want to win, and vendors are a big part of how we win.
Thank you.
Well, this is one of the biggest issues of all. First, I heard that Meshawn was going to give the Budget Committee total latitude. Now she'll keep complete control over them. The chair appoints the committee. You have to keep an eye on them. You can't just turn things over. You have to have transparency. These consultants, which are also vendors, the consultants are getting a vendor contract money, and they're also directing all the stuff to their companies and making millions of dollars. This has got to stop.
Thank you. I'm going to give it to Melissa. Thank you. All right. So, Joe. I think I get a rebuttal. Oh, yes. Wait, did he mention? Yeah, then she has 30 seconds.
So I will appoint a budget committee. The budget committee will have a chair. They will make the decisions, but before it had been mentioned that I would not be paying attention to the budget committee. I will 100% be paying attention to what every committee does. And I do believe that vendors are a big part of this discussion. I would like anybody who's accusing stealing or nefarious ways to actually have proof and facts. Part of what is really a mess about this race and the vice chair races and about so much in Michigan politics is we make wild accusations without proof and facts. I'd like to see facts.
Thank you.
Oh, so true. Oh, so true. Facts do matter. With respect to budgeting and vendors and consultants, I can tell you that beginning my involvement in the state party in the late 80s, they used to do a lot of things in-house, mailings and so forth. And the terrain changed and it's farmed out to now vendors or consultants. So in and of themselves, they're not bad. But what I think is bad and can be bad is if there's not proper oversight and accountability. And I think that that's lacked over the last few years. I've traveled the state and surprised that the current operations, and this transcends the current regime, the previous regime, and even the regime before that in terms of business operations. And day one, it would be imperative to review the comings and goings of finances, the return on the investment, and the efficacy of the practices or lack thereof, so that we can husband the precious dollars of our donors and be good stewards of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So I pulled one out of the basket, and which is kind of great that this was on top. So the question is, and I believe, Jim, you are first, who were the political people or PACs that donated to your $15,000 chair fundraising fee?
No PACs. A friend of mine, Bill Damas, and his wife. A friend of mine, Dan Levois, and his wife, and who's the other? Another friend. No one that has any stuff going on in Lansing, no PACs or anything like that. I don't know if we're going to go and everyone can disclose that. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. Joe?
I think the number of donors range, I think, in the 20 or 25 number. And longtime dear friends, some I've known for 35 years or 40 years, no PAC money. And soon enough, this, as you may know, these are transactions that went through a WinRed account hosted by the Republican Party, and then goes into their federal account. So soon enough, those donations will be known for all to see. But it was a circle of friends that I've had through work or personal affiliation. One of them was the great supervisor of Green Charter Township, Jason Cruz, who led the fight against the Goshen plant. Important victory there, and he's one patriotic American. So I look forward to sharing that once they're disclosable in the next reporting period. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have, I think, 44 donors, and I have everything from a $10 donation all the way up to a $2,000 donation. Mostly friends, some family. I was really happy to see my son donated, my husband donated, a ton of longtime political friends, including a couple of people that are in this very room that were very generous. But I also did something because I knew that we were going to publicly disclose disclose. I reached out to all of the candidates that are going to be or considering running for governor and U.S. Senate. I asked them to show support for my run, and I'm happy to say that 3 of the potential candidates for governor all took me up on that and donated to my account. So I can't wait to show that. On February 7th is our deadline, and I will print everybody's name and exactly how much they donated.
Thank you. Staying with the budget fundraising money question theme, as state chair, how do you plan to diversify fundraising efforts to ensure financial support comes from new donors? And I believe this is Joe. You are the first one.
It will really be a blending enterprise to do so. So over the years, I maintained contact with donors, generous donors, major donors, mid-range donors to the Michigan Republican Party. They've shelved their checkbooks because they haven't had the greatest of confidence in what the state party became, where it was going. Their children are now able to step up. And there's been a vast creation of capital since this time. There are a group of people known as Henrys, high earners, not rich yet, that I'm engaged with, that are ready to they rally behind President Trump, see the great win he had, and make a difference for the Republican Party here in Michigan in 2026. Also, there's many great opportunities of online fundraising using the trio of Governor Benson, Governor Whitmer, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist certainly, and Secretary of State Benson, and Attorney General Nessel. They are prime targets. I've had conversations with fundraising groups who know that they will sell out of state in terms of the woke destruction they've leveled on Michigan. Thank you.
All right. And Jim.
Well, when I was in the legislature, I didn't raise a lot of money in Lansing, but I raised a lot of money in my district. And I was, in fact, one of the top fundraisers when we were in the majority all 8 years. And what I did is sat down with people in my district, and these were not traditional donors, and I would tell them my vision and what I'm trying to accomplish. And I had been in financial services for most of my life, where I would have to sit down with a client and have them write a check, maybe for $20 or $30 million. They had to have the trust in you and your ability to invest that money. So I learned how to talk to people that have a lot of money. Frankly, the $10 or $5 donors, I love that. But we're talking probably making up a $300,000, $400,000 deficit day one. Then we got to have probably about $4 to $5 million to get through the first year and a half. You have to be able to sit down and raise money from these people. I've also done some high-end fundraisers with Vivek Ramaswamy and a Kentucky Derby event and other events that I will be able to show people around the state of Michigan how to replicate this so they can also raise money.
And thank you.
3 plans for how I will fundraise bringing in new dollars, because we cannot just keep depending on the same donors. If the same donors would love to buy in, and I think they will want to because Donald Trump just won and everybody is excited about the future, I will welcome their donations. But I worked very closely with some organizations, some outside groups that were coming in, and this is how we won Michigan, with the Indian community, the Albanian community, the Black community, the Chaldean community. I have identified 4 businessmen ambassadors that I will be announcing. These people are going to open doors to new donors. I've already met with a couple of them. And also my co-chair choice, which I will announce tomorrow or Wednesday morning, is going to be a fantastic conduit to new money into the party. He's been a fundraiser for Donald Trump since 2016. I've watched him fundraise millions of dollars from other manufacturers and business people. So I'm very excited about him, and I'm excited about bringing in new blood to the party.
Thank you. All right, so the last one. In a state where we have blown through money, like my teenage daughter with her allowance at Alta, where will you focus dollars to allocate for the 2026 election? And that is Joe is first, sorry.
As we head into the 2026 midterm, there will be a debt we have to quiet down. There will also be perhaps some fines we also have to quiet down. So really bringing the party into a footing of a stable operating business. It's been like that in the past, internally, professionally operating, and professionally forward-facing. That would be job one. Simultaneously, raising the funds necessary to target the swing seats. I think you look beginning at the state legislature, there's other seats we can pull up and pick up in the state house. As I mentioned, the 35th state senate district is imperative. I think that's going to be a national race. We can get President Trump in and Vice President Vance in to raise money and flip that seat. It's a 52% Democrat seat, I think, with the beautiful wind flowing through the sails of our party. That's a gettable seat. I think we have an unprecedented, in decades, window to pick up Gary Peters' seat, as well as Governor Whitmer, Attorney General Nessel, and Secretary of State Benson's offices as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Meshawn, you are next.
Can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure I'm answering it the correct way.
Where will you focus dollars to allocate for the 2026 election?
I thought that was it.
The Alta part was me.
I think as your chairman, it's not my decision on where we allocate dollars. I will have input, I will have some influence, but this is really a decision for the Budget Committee and State Committee. I'm happy to say that we have a very strong and powerful HRCC. Our Senate Majority Leader, Eric Nesbitt, who I was communicating with today, also is sitting on a lot of money. What's great is that the party doesn't have to do this alone. I talked with Speaker Hall today about the state of my race and reassured him that I cannot wait to be his next chairman of the party and that I look forward to working very closely with him on retaking the House majority. That's got to be one of the most important things. So when it comes to the actual funds and what the party's going to do with them, they need to be directed into running a really clean, orderly House, doing very strong anti-Democrat communist messaging, attacking the Democrats. That's how we need to spend our dollars if I'm your next party chairman.
Thank you.
No need to worry. I'm not going to name drop and name drop and name drop. What I would start with is, first off, you have to worry about debt. Any responsible family looks at the debt first. It's probably going to be $300,000 to $400,000 in debt that we're going to have to look at taking care of. Also, there's a building that the state party, it's confusing whether it owns it, doesn't own it, apparently a trust owns it, but what are the expenses associated with that? I'll look at that next. Then we're going to have to look at what can we do to really make a difference in the nonpartisan races. This is something I've noticed has never been done. All these judges, like we just talked about in the 2 Supreme Court judges, all these judges, all these nonpartisan races, I will set up a system where every one of the counties and districts will send us the candidates, nonpartisan candidates, will design that, send it out to a local print shop, and they can print as many as they want, and we'll pay for it all. We've got to make a difference in these nonpartisan races. Every cycle we've been murdered in this, and I always get asked, who do I vote for on these races? We will make sure that that is an absolute priority so that they're not left on the side, but they are able to win those races.
All right, so we're going to move a little bit to an issue. The next question, and Meshawn, you will go first. Do you believe that youth workforce readiness has an impact on Michigan's job market? And do you believe this is a winning issue for a gubernatorial candidate?
I mean, I think that this question is talking about the difference between educating our youth and encouraging youth to become into trade positions in order to make a living versus going off to university. Absolutely. I mean, Michigan is the auto worker nation state. We are still the motor city. It could be a great issue for a gubernatorial to take on. I believe that the youth has been mobilized for Donald Trump, and we'd better not lose that. I'm happy to say that I've been endorsed by Charlie Kirk and Turning Point, who poured millions of dollars into organizing the youth here in Michigan. They've committed to do the exact same thing in this cycle. The same thing with Scott Pressler, who mobilized youth all across Pennsylvania. He has endorsed me, and he has committed his resources here to Michigan. So if we are marketing and bringing in strong young conservatives, and by the way, telling young men that it's okay to be a strong young man, I think we will win.
Thank you. So Jim, I'll repeat the question for you. Do you believe that youth workforce readiness has an impact on Michigan's job market? And do you believe this is a winning issue for a gubernatorial candidate?
I absolutely do believe that. I remember when I was in 8th grade, we had wood shop and metal shop for a week each for every single student. Every single student had to go through that in 8th grade, boys, girls, and it was fabulous because everybody kind of got their first, if you weren't born on a farm like I was, first attempt at learning how to do this stuff. And then we had a lot of students went into wood shop and small engines and auto repair and welding and all of this stuff. And we had all these students coming right out of high school and going to work. Now almost all of those are gone. We need to start training these students. They can make more money in these skilled trades and go into the woke U getting $100,000 in debt that provides absolutely nothing except indoctrination. So it's something that I think we need to be pushing to these students and making sure that we get the workforce necessary for the state of Michigan in the coming years. Thank you.
I would say it's only a winning issue. I think President Trump spoke to the young men and women that this impacts. I think over time, for whatever reason, it was almost an expectation that you had to go to college. I think there's great dignity in all work. I think you look around our aging infrastructure, you look at the skilled trades, they've withered away. It's sad. My brother-in-law is an IBEW worker. All of his siblings but one have gone to college. He makes more money than all of them combined as an IBEW worker. He does great work. He was well-trained. And I think that there should be more intentionality, I think, in grade school, high school. Senator Runestad cited kind of the loss of the woods, the metals, the auto body design, or skilled trades in terms of construction. For whatever reason, they evaporated, and then it all became about STEM and STEAM, not that they're bad in and of themselves. But I think you have also an important contrast with Whitmer, who
Thank
is...
you.
Well, the...
It's buzzing. I can't do anything.
That's fine. Literacy rates under Whitmer have not been good.
Okay. Yeah, let's not end on her name. All right, so we'll go to a little bit more of a softball because I want to also tease out a little bit more of your personalities. So the question for Jim to begin with is then something simple. What are your top 3 priority issues in the 2026 election if you are elected chair?
I would say the Senate race, the U.S. Senate race. What a difference that would make if we can get a Michigan Republican senator all the way back from Spencer Abraham days. That will be an incredible achievement. Getting a governor in that will stop the horror of what Whitmer has done, destroying the state, destroying the business community, destroying the kids. And lastly, if I had to choose between the two, it's a hard choice, but probably replacing Benson, because it all starts with election integrity. That woman has been overturned by the courts 10 times. I'm sure that's a record. She doesn't care about the law. She will do anything to cheat an election. In order for us to get all of these other things done, we've got to get the Secretary of State in who's going to stop cheating for one side or the other. Just somebody who is objectively following the law would be great. If we could start there, then I think we can win all these other races. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think in any number of ways you could see that what President Biden did to the United States of America, Gretchen Whitmer did to the state of Michigan. 2-tier systems of justice, high and heavy-handed, fast-handed moves of government hammering down on we the people. So I would say the top 3 would be as follows. I think you have, in decades, the greatest chance to change leadership for state government on the federal level and the state level. I think we have to take that Gary Peters seat. I think that's gettable. I think we expand the state house majority so we can give Matt Hall a bigger wrecking ball to do what he does. And I think key is to pick up the 35th State Senate special in Midland Bay City, Saginaw, because with that you'll have a 19-19 tie in the state Senate. And what happens with that? One senator decides not to show up for work, and then Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist loses his tie-breaking vote. So you put Governor Whitmer in a lame duck box where she will remain until the end of her term, and that's a very important place to be.
Thank you.
All right. So answer number 1 is that we have to win. I want to win absolutely everything, and I am committed to be working nonstop like I've never worked before. I have tremendous energy. That's what I've always brought to the Trump campaign. But I launched 3 things that were my day one initiatives, and I think that implementing these 3 day one initiatives is a good step forward of how we win, and I plan to announce more. I want to launch the Michigan GOP Ambassador Program that is building on the coalitions with business leaders, having constant events in the Chaldean community, the Albanian community, the Indian community. I want these ambassadors to be taking our Republican message into their community and growing. We won because of Hamtramck, Dearborn, and Detroit. We can't stop that. Also, our youth program, we have 4 great candidates running for youth chair. I don't want to let a single one of them go. I am encouraging all of them. One of them will be our vice chair, and he will have a vote on state committee, but I want the other 3 to be associate vice chairs to help build our youth.
Thank you. All right. So pivoting a little bit, so I served as the vice chair of recruitment for HRCC. For those of you who don't know, that's the House Republican Candidate Committee, and I think it's been referred to before. So that's the recruitment, the fundraising arm to raise up House candidates. So I know that it was really exhaustive, very time-consuming for finding and assisting and developing candidates. So aside from the gubernatorial candidates, what is your plan to help recruit and or support down ballot candidates? And Joe, you were first, sorry, I forgot, and I can say that again. So aside from the gubernatorial candidates, what is your plan to help recruit and or support down ballot candidates?
Great question, Representative. And lacking for some time in the Michigan Republican Party is a farm team. Traveling around in Monroe County, conversation I had particularly stands out to me. 2 men who are serving as, one is a library board, the other one is school board, and they have this pining to fight. They want to fight. They want to join President Trump in the trenches and use their leadership to take it to that next level. They're talking about county commission. They're talking about joining you in the state house maybe someday. And they were just asking those questions. So on Wednesday, I'm rolling out my plan to make the Michigan Republican Party great again, and we'll detail some of that outreach. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm a bridge builder. I will blaze a path across this state, taking my desk to the doors of people. I know people very well, and the ability to spot prospective candidates, encourage many, not obviously engaging in the primary because that has disastrous results. We've seen it in the 2022 election. But find those people who can be the standard bearers for the Republican Party and all up and down the
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Meshawn?
I will continue to do what I've done for 10 years, and that is recruit candidates from library board, city council, school board, all the way up to state house, state senate, Congress, Secretary of State. This is something that I've been involved in for over a decade. When I sat as co-chair with Ron Weiser, people would literally come into the office and say, hey, I want to run for this, and we would sit down and talk to them. So I know that as your chairman, if you should elect me, I will have that opportunity. People will be coming to the party, but even if they're not, our bench, the leaders who are building, are our congressional district chairs and our county chairs. Those are the people that know the people within their community. I will be working very close with them to encourage that they are filling every single seat with Republican candidates running for school board, library board, county commissioner. We can't leave any seat vacant. That's one of the most important jobs as the chairman.
Thank you. And Jim?
Excuse me, this is something I've been working on for, now I think it's almost 30 years. I was a guy with a bullhorn running around trying to recruit people. I then started the North Oakland Republican Club, which was about 6 people when I started. Saul Anusis in 2008 when I left. He said it was the largest monthly attended Republican organization in the entire state of Michigan. We did a ton of recruiting. Then I was in office, but 2 cycles, or the cycle before this last, I was recruiting school board candidates in Oakland County, Macomb County, and Kent County. Not only recruiting them, but training them, training their treasurers, training their their campaign managers. So this is something that we have to do across the board. We have to start getting that farm team built up, and that means getting out there and talking to all of these county chairs and district chairs and say, find us candidates, we will help you support them. We will help to train these people. We'll build a website so that every single county and every congressional district is on there, all the leaders on there, their events are on there, so we can advertise for them. Thank you.
All right, so I'm from Macomb. I've been born and raised there, and I got involved my sophomore year in high school. I've seen a lot of party drama through my time. So over the last few years, the divide, though, has gotten even worse, unfortunately. So especially between the state party and the county party. What are your plans, if any, to unify the two entities to ensure we are working as one towards our platform? And Meshawn, that's you first, and I can repeat that if you'd like.
Party unity, it's the question we are asked over and over. We've been doing this now for, I think, 17 days. I'm not going to sit up here and claim that I can bring total unity to the party. I've been, like I said, a precinct delegate for 20 years. We are passionate, smart people, Republicans. We're all very opinionated. We are always going to have different opinions. Just like we have people within the party that love Donald Trump and how he tweets, and we have people within the party that don't like it. But you know what? They still showed up and voted for Donald Trump. I think it's really important to just be a calm, measured leader, listening to everyone. One of the things that I've heard as I've traveled around is, you know, are you going to help us get rid of these people? You need to help us get rid of these people. I won't ever advocate for that. We need to build the party. We need to fill every seat. I look around this room. We need to have rooms like this filled with every seat and standing room only in the back. That's how we build the Republican Party. I'm not going to cut anybody out, and I am not going to, I'm willing to work with everybody.
Thank you. Jim.
One of the things that I heard consistently as I've been all over the state of Michigan, I think it's 3.5 months, I have been traveling the state of Michigan, sometimes 3 events a day. And there's a lot of infighting that I've seen, and some of it has to do with people feeling disenfranchised. And first and foremost, I put a notice out on this, that a duly elected delegate must be seated and allowed to vote. There should be no question on that, and there has been. The other part of it that we have to make sure, and that is bringing people together. In the National Committee Woman race, I supported Hima for the National Committee Woman. She's my good friend for many years. I thought she'd do a wonderful job. She was running against Bernadette. When they lost that race, I wished him a great time, and she's doing a great job, but I've chosen Bernadette as my co-chair. She's been elected twice by the delegates as that the co-chair and ran a very close race for the National Committee Woman. This is more of what we need to do, healing the party, bringing people together, and that's what I will do.
Thank you.
With the precious moment of the 2026 midterm election that stands before us to build on President Trump's great 2024 win, we have to select a chairman of the Michigan Republican Party who has the judicious temperament, the character, and the ability to lead and transcend above drama and tumult and chaos and not sow it. I'm a bridge builder, not a bridge burner. I would say that it is imperative to not wade into messy primary fights, not recruit candidates as a party official, because that has had disastrous results. It's a disastrous decision. A state party chairman just has to have the temperament to set those difficult decisions aside and the impulses that they may have, to realize that we have to be Switzerland during the primary, engage only after the general election so that we can beat the Democrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we are at 8 o'clock, and I know a few of you want to get your questions asked. I'm not going to be able to ask them all. So I'm sorry. We do have time and children to put to bed, and we just all need to go home. And some have traveled quite a distance to get here. So, okay, so I will pick probably 2, because I've been asking as we go, and some of them have been doubling. And then we will do our closing remarks. So one is, and this will be for Jim to start off, can you describe your political philosophy and the core principles that guide your leadership? Can you describe your political philosophy and the core principles that guide your leadership?
The core principles are the Bible and the Scripture.
Oh, yep.
My core principles are the Bible and the Scripture. My political philosophy is that of the Founding Fathers. I've read the Constitution. I've also read the Communist Manifesto. I've read all of these different political tomes out there in order to be able to defend what we have here in the greatest nation in the world. It is not because of the ground. It is because the Founding Fathers gave us the greatest country based upon the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. We are so fortunate to have that, and I hope we never lose sight of it, but I'm seeing it happening bit by bit. That's what I've been doing in the legislature, is fighting that trend to get away from our founding principles, and I will fight for them as your county or your state party chair just as hard as I did in the legislature. Thank you.
And Joe?
My philosophy is that one of a conservative, rooted in Judeo-Christian principles, emanate our founding documents, our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, that are the bedrock of our country. People within and people from without want to destroy both. It's a travesty. We've seen it in our state. We've seen it on our federal level. We must be a bulwark as Republicans to say no more. President Trump is leading the way to say no more on the national level. I am a principled free market conservative. I believe in less regulation, low taxation. We have to preserve religious liberty. Too much has gone on to savage our rights, our religious liberty rights in the last 4 years, I would say during the Obama years, 8 more years. And it's beautiful to see the good work that President Trump is doing through his executive orders. But I think more importantly, in a lasting fashion, through his judicial nominations that are doing the same thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this question, we could each spend more than a minute. I am pro-life, I am pro-gun, I am pro-America. I am less regulation, less taxes. In fact, I'd like to eliminate the personal income tax and our property taxes. I am all about dismantling our big, over-bloated, over-budgeted government. I love the Department of DOGE. I wish I could have gone to work for them, but I would have had to leave Michigan, and I want to stay here and fight for Michigan. So I am everything as far right as you can get when it comes to the government, and I think that that kind of messaging is what Michigan needs to hear from right now, with this unbelievable resounding win of Donald Trump in Michigan.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to rephrase this question. We have, especially in the state of Michigan and even across our country, some great think tanks such as the Mackinac Center and the Veritas or Liberatus Institute in Utah. They have some really important issues that they bring up, such as like the Overton window. They have lots of great things. So would you somehow, how would this, because this is not a real, like an interesting question, how would you engage, and Joe, you're the first one to start off with this, how would you engage the think tanks across Michigan and across our country to help as the chair and help strengthen the MIGOP?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Representative. I would say that I'm going to point to my great alma mater, Hillsdale College. They have had a transformational impact in citizen education, engaging people on the grassroots, forming their hearts and minds and souls, dare I say, in ways that they necessarily may have missed in their primary, secondary, and even higher education. Many have gone through the filter of wokeness and all that has come through these state-run leviathans. So I think that's really a great model. People really thirst, they pine for information, education, direction, and leadership. And on Wednesday, when I roll out my plan, I'm very excited to show it to you. I have the honor to have the endorsement of Newt Gingrich He knows my plan, he appreciates it, and he knows it'll be a part of transformational leadership. Should I have the honor of serving as your next chairman, and an integral part of that is education for you, candidates, as well as campaign managers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Meshawn. Wait, hold on. Yes, it's Meshawn, then Jim.
I've been campaigning on this basically already. As a former president of an external organization that did great work helping to provide conservative messaging in Michigan. That was the Michigan Conservative Coalition. I've also been part of on boards of other organizations. I'm a longtime member of the Lakes Area Tea Party. I've never understood why it felt like the party was in competition with all of these external groups. When I would have great events bringing in Dinesh Souza and Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk, I begged the party to help amplify our message and share our events. And I think the party always saw it as competition with dollars and fundraising. I plan to do the exact opposite. Heritage Action, the Michigan Freedom Fund, Michigan Right to Life, and all of these other great organizations, I will be amplifying their message. They will be on our website, their events will be shared, I will be sharing them on social media. I'm not about shutting anybody out. The way the Democrats win is they're all one big team.
Thank you.
There's many wonderful groups out there like Mackinac Center, but there's also Pacific Legal. I worked with them on getting rid of asset forfeiture. They worked closely with my office to get that bill through. I've worked with ALEC on many, many bills. I've worked with the local law firm, the Callum law firm, also William Wagner's law firm. So when I'm looking across the spectrum, we know we don't have every single answer. We know we have to go reaching out to the experts. So we look across the entire spectrum, reach out to everybody. Do you have a good solution to this problem? It's what it takes to really get grinding down into the details of the bill to make sure that you do it properly. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So our last question before we go to our closing statements, and I'm going to rephrase this one as well. I believe all of you have a relationship with President Trump one way or another. So will you use your influence with President Trump to keep him engaged in Michigan? And that would be Meshawn, you would go first.
First of all, we won't need to help President Trump want to stay engaged in Michigan. All eyes are on Michigan. $500 million will be spent on this open U.S. Senate seat. The Trump team is laser focused on Michigan. It's part of the reason that we have an empty seat sitting here today. I was thrilled to have Scott join our team, step out, and realize that it was really about coming together with a positive, strong message for Donald Trump. I have the trust of the president. I'm the only person up here who has continued talking with President Trump. He called me on election night while my husband and I were in Grand Rapids. They were on the plane flying into the rally, and my heart was in my throat when he asked me if we were going to win Michigan. And I took a deep breath and I said, yes, sir, you are going to win Michigan, just praying that that was true. So I believe that I will continue that relationship whether I'm the chairman or not. I'm the closest conduit to Donald Trump and his team.
Thank you.
It's not the first time I heard this. In fact, I heard it 3.5 months ago when she told me she could pick up the phone at any time and call Donald Trump and get his endorsement 3.5 months ago. So I hear Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, and she talks to him all the time, every day, but he is not endorsed in this race, nor do I think he will endorse in this race. However, it is true that this is going to be probably the most contested Senate race in the nation. There will be a mountain of money. We have to make sure that that money does not get looted by consultants, vendors. That seems to happen every single time. So we have that, plus we have the congressional races. There's 3 to 4 very, very contested congressional races. There's going to be a lot of money coming in. The thing I will promise you, there will be competitive bidding of that money to make sure we win those races. There will not be the sole sourcing out to buddies and friends that I see people getting $7,000 a month paid to do what we could tell is nothing. I don't think one person here got $7,000 a month, but you probably worked your butts off in this last election. All of that will be ended. We will win those races because the money's going to go where it should.
And because he said she, hold on, Joe. There's only one she on the stage because remember, we're the party of two genders. Meshawn does have a rebuttal.
I don't expect Donald Trump to weigh in on this race. I have not asked him to. His team trusts me, and I've worked very closely with him. In fact, it's people from Donald Trump's team who are helping me right now in my campaign. I haven't had to hire a campaign consultant. As far as, Jim keeps alluding to this amount of money, and there I said his name so he can respond. Jim gets paid $7,000 a month as a state senator.
All right.
I got paid $7,000 for 2 months
That's
of the Trump
your
campaign.
30 seconds. All right. And then let's finish with you, Joe. No, the rule is, and I will repeat it, that if you refer to someone else in your answer, the candidate in question has 30 seconds to respond, and then the conversation is over. And I gave them a warning. I said, so let's just not say people's names. So that is the rule I set and established at the beginning of moderating this, and so we are sticking to it. So please continue, Joe.
Thank you for the question. President Trump is watching the swing states for the 2026 midterms very closely. Michael Whatley, chairman of the Republican National Committee, has been interviewed about this. President Trump knows the stakes. He's ready to roll. He's a little busy. I think the work even began before the inauguration began, but how beautifully consequential he has been. We're all relieved and full of joy, but steeled with resolve to continue this fight. So I'm in contact with people in the West Wing as well as the RNC. And they know this is the greatest opportunity in decades in Michigan to transform leadership for the Republican Party and have a lasting impact. And it intersects beautifully with President Trump's America First and Make America Great Again agenda as we, again, begin to dismantle the woke lunacy and deconstructionist agenda we've been subjected to in recent years. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's give our candidates a round of applause, please. Yes, this is really hard to do. All right, so now you will have 2 minutes. Actually, right now seems like forever. As your closing statements. And like I said in the beginning, we will go in the reverse order. And so it will go Meshawn first, Joe second, and Jim third. So whenever you are ready.
I think that Michigan is on a precipice of incredible, great things. And I would like to have the challenge, and I would be honored if you would support me in leading the Michigan Republican Party. I think with infrastructure, some real changes can be made to the party where everybody has a buy-in, where we have complete unity, and I think that we have a real opportunity because we do have some incredible candidates to win everything back. I'm running against somebody that has been a long-time political consultant. Every dollar that the person has ever made was being involved in politics. And then I'm running against my own state senator who has a full-time job and somehow thinks he'll also be able to do this job as state party chair full-time. I do not see how that is possible. Not to mention the fact that when you're sitting in your Senate office building, you are not allowed to take phone calls about campaigning or about donors or about candidates. So he literally can't do the job on the Senate grounds or in the Capitol. So I just want you to take that into consideration when you're making this decision, and I hope to earn your trust and your vote.
Well, hold on. Thank you. You can applaud. But according to my own rules, because you mentioned both candidates, they do have 30 seconds of rebuttal from their statement. So whichever one would like to go first, since you're standing, you go first.
I'll save that 30 seconds to the end. Thank you, Representative Greene.
Oh, you're saving your 30 seconds to the end?
But
I want you to rebuttal.
Closing. You want me to rebut first?
Yes, please rebut
Okay.
first.
So, like President Trump, I come before you as an outsider. What happened to President Trump when he introduced himself as an outsider. He was subjected to the fire of fake news. This opponent right here, even before I ran, has been subjecting me to the fire of fake news. I've never been a political consultant, ever. You do not need a chairman who lies to you disgracefully, speaks to people like this in patently false ways. We have way too much at stake for that nonsense to be happening. That can't be trusted. We need to get away from this circus.
Good. Okay, thank you. And then Jim.
As I mentioned before, I believe it's 7 hours that we've spent in entire January in session. You start at 10, by 11:30, you're out. Of course, you cannot do the business there. You go off-site and you can do anything you want. But I will have more time than I've ever had since I was 13 years old, with 8 to 10 hours in session per week to be able to do this job relentlessly. I put in 80 to 90 hours in politics, one way or the other. Everyone who knows me knows I do that. But I will be getting more information out to you from that position than ever.
Thank you. Okay, restart the clock back to 2 minutes, and then Joe, you may now readjust to make your closing statement, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative, for moderating in a very moderate way.
Which is something I'm not.
Not a reflection of your conservative philosophy. And Lori, thank you. An honor to be with you all. I come to you humbly, standing before you to appeal for your thoughtful vote as you weigh myself and my opponents, our merits, as you make this very important decision. This is an important moment for the Michigan Republican Party. It's a hinge moment to push past the chaos, the tumult, and the drama and the circus that have been beset it for a number of years. I distinguish myself from my opponents in 3 ways. 1, I was chosen by President Trump to serve in a leadership role in the 2016 campaign, and then be chosen by him to serve as U.S. Ambassador. I'm a frontline fighter, winner, servant, and leader in very consequential, high-stakes, highly consequential battles in Michigan and on the national level. Lastly, I'm not in Lansing. I'm a Lansing outsider. I'm not in Lansing or of Lansing. Just as the swamp in D.C. has a certain way of doing business, Lansing has the same. I'm above it all. What you see is what you get. You'll have my judicious temperament, character, temperament necessary to navigate very choppy waters right now as we stand by President Trump's side to win in 2026. And I would submit to you humbly that I am the best candidate to serve as your next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming out on this cold day to hear all of us. I think it's an extremely important job. It's going to make a huge difference which one of us you select. And the thing that makes me different, and I am the one, along with Meshawn, with the record. Meshawn was the co-chair in 2022. The chair, Ron Weiser, moved to California. He built a mansion next to the Kardashians for his new relationship, and he was gone, but he left a pile of money for Meshawn to work with. I didn't see one thing from her, but we did have the worst disaster we ever had. We lost the election for in 40-something years. The Senate was gone. We lost to all those terrible women in statewide races. We lost the House. We just were smashed. I didn't see one thing out of her in that position. My record is the record that you could look at. For 16 years, everything I told people, like you, I was going to do, I did in the office. I had to fight battle after battle after battle to adhere to what I told people I was going to do. It is very, very tough when you've got the speaker or the majority leader coming down on you and want you to vote for garbage and crony capitalism, stuff that you told people you weren't going to do. I saw people flipping all night long on this stuff, going the other direction when the pressure's on. I didn't. That's the way I would operate as your chair. I will also unify people. I have not attacked people. I have not attacked donors. I have not attacked any of the former chairs. I'm not going to do that. It is about bringing people together and healing the rift in the party, and that is something that I have spent my entire time doing in politics. I am not a person who causes division. I will get people in a room, we'll sit down and have a discussion to figure out how can we, before a convention, before Mackinac Island, before these things, iron out those problems so that when we get together, we have as many of these problems ironed out as we possibly can. Usually the person who is the most difficult, a disordered person, will try to disrupt it. They will get marginalized in these big groups. You have this kind of a discussion, you have the skill set, you can heal these problems, and that is what my promise to you, and I would ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, Meshawn, you may have the last 30 seconds.
You've all been great and patient, and I want to thank the two people I'm running against. They're both great men. Look, we could all do this job. I just feel like I'm better fit for this role at this time because of Donald Trump and because of my relationship and because we won here in Michigan. And the only other thing I'd like to say is that Ron Weiser, he was a nice man, an older man. He sat in his office every single week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so I'm not really sure where he got that information. There was no pile of cash, and I had no access. I didn't write any checks. I didn't sign any checks, so that's misinformation.
All right, thank you. So because, yes, you guys applaud for the candidates. They did a great job. Fantastic. I would like to end on a positive note, and then you guys can all intermingle again. Will you all stand up and sing God Bless America with me? We're singing because I want to end with singing, and I will find a note. Ready? God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you, and drive safe, and thank you for the church for hosting us.